We'll first be hearing from Ray Collins. Ray is the primary speaker in opposition. Ray, you will have 5 minutes.
My name is Ray Collins. I chair the South Menchaca Neighborhood Plan Contact Team. In your backup, you will find a letter of unanimous opposition to a drive-thru. There is no opposition to the coffee shop. The contact team is leaving the letter of opposition to the drive-thru in place as a signpost of our opposition to how the property might be developed by a commercial developer, given that the owner is not the developer. In fact, we couldn't withdraw it without a meeting and a vote, and the applicant brought the error in the zoning case to my attention by text and email Monday at 12:30 p.m. David Foster, a contact team member, will speak of the long-term neighborhood opposition to a drive-through in the school zone, the cooperation of El Cholito on an adjacent property with the neighborhood's wishes, and whatever else as he sees fit. Our Secretary, Susan Shorn, will detail what is going to happen if a drive-through is permitted. First, in my own presentation, I'll point out that the staff report makes no mention of Joslyn Elementary or the school zone. Safe Routes to School has spent considerable bond money on sidewalks in particular, and we don't want to see such pedestrian safety measures squandered by vehicles entering and exiting any drive-through business across those sidewalks in the school zone. What no one, to my knowledge, has considered is the staff report. In the staff report or elsewhere is that all three of the council members who represent different parts of Southwood, that is, council members Ryan Alter, Fuentes, and Velasquez, and two others, council members Ellis and Allison Alter, signaled their support for City Leap in a May 24th memo to City Manager Broadnax. City Leap arises from the council resolution for the development of an environmental investment plan, from a July 16th joint meeting of the pedestrian and bicycle advisory committees, and from an April meeting of the joint sustainability committee. City Leap envisions 2 vehicles lanes, dedicated bus lanes for the upcoming expansion of the 803 route, and bicycle lanes on Menchaca. A car-centric drive-through thus has no place on Menchaca or in the Safe Street Austin program. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. We will now be hearing from David Foster. David, you will have 3 minutes.
Thank you, Chair, Vice Chair, Commissioners. My name is David Foster. I'm a longtime resident of the Southwood neighborhood. In fact, I live about a 3-minute walk away from this location where the coffee shop is being proposed, and I'm a resident of District 5. I'm also a founding member of the South Menchaca Neighborhood Plan Contact Team and was deeply involved in putting together the South Austin Combined Neighborhood Plan, which City Council approved in November 2014. I originally did sign up to speak in opposition to this, but now I want to change that and just speak on the project, and I'll explain why. When our contact team first heard about this project, this coffee shop, we were given the impression that it would include a drive-through. And as Chair Collins pointed out, we have nothing against a coffee shop at this location. In fact, our approved neighborhood plan calls for bringing exactly these kinds of businesses to the perimeter of our neighborhood, which, by the way, we're bounded by Ben White on the north, Menchaca on the west, Stasny on the south, and South First on the east. Businesses that we can walk or bike to and not have to drive to. But our plan also calls for promoting bicycle and pedestrian safety, and we see a drive-through, especially at this location, as undermining the skull. Why is that? Well, as Chair Collins already pointed out, Joslyn Elementary School is right across the street, and I'll add that Project Connect envisages at some point extending rapid bus, the 803, down Menchaca Road. So this is a robust transit corridor that's going to become more robust, and we don't need those kinds of businesses with drive-throughs on transit corridors. So why am I only speaking on rather than against? Well, two things have changed. One is we now understand, thanks to conversations with staff and with some of the planning commissioners, that tonight's vote would not authorize a drive-through, which is what we were led to believe early on whether it would simply authorize a coffee shop, and before they could have a drive-through, they would have to get a conditional use permit, follow that process, which would trigger yet another hearing here, and we would, of course, come out and oppose it at that point. So that's one thing that changed. And the other thing that has changed is we now have assurance from the owner that she does not intend to consider having a coffee shop there with a drive-through. She's only talking to coffee shop developers who would not do a drive-through. Still, I think it's useful for us to speak tonight because I think it's important that, well, for one thing, ownership sometimes changes hands, and we don't know what a future owner might want to do once they have the zoning in place. And more broadly, I think that our speaking here tonight sends the message to this commission and to the community and to potential future developers that we are serious about having a pedestrian bike transit-friendly neighborhood and are very likely to oppose any and all drive-throughs that are proposed along our perimeters. So that concludes my remarks, except I will say that I don't see any reason not to pass this on consent, given all of this. And I want to thank you for your service and hard work. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. We will now be hearing from Susan Scorn. Susan, you will have 3 minutes.
Hi, thank you. I had a map. This is the location that's under question, but as David has already said, we understand from the developer that plans for a drive-through would require a CUP and are not on the docket. So I just wanted to kind of wrap up after Ray and David and say that this is not just hypothetical. When we talk about drive-throughs on this street and around our neighborhood, I've lived next to David for 30 plus years, and I make a right turn onto Menchaca almost every morning because I work at UT. So during rush hour and school entry hours, I am making that right turn. And what anyone who lives in the neighborhood can tell you is that it is very challenging to, as you are waiting and waiting and waiting for traffic to clear and dealing with all of the chaos coming in both directions, and you see you're clearing and you hit the gas and go out, to remember to check to the right. And those sidewalks on the right are where the moms are coming back with their strollers after they drop the older kids off at school. And I cannot tell you how many close calls I've had. And I really have worked very hard over 3 decades to school myself to check. But anybody who's coming into a commercial business on a drive-through is not going to have that keyed into their memory. And if we put drive-throughs in this area or on any of the streets that bound our neighborhood, where there's a lot of pedestrian traffic and school children, we're going to have multiple close calls every day. So again, not speaking in opposition to this zoning change, but we wanted to set the flag that drive-throughs on those major streets are really hazardous to the neighborhood against the plans that we have already put forward and expressed. And they also keep us up at night with those mom feelings of like, I can't believe I almost did that. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Well,
Yeah, I just wanted to thank my fellow District 5 residents coming out regarding the Menchaca Road case, and I'm very pleased to hear that the drive-through is not considered, or likely will not be considered as this case moves forward. And I just wanted to flag that I feel it's really unfortunate that this wasn't sort of raised more clearly as an issue, even at the beginning. We understand that drive-throughs are necessary in some commercial situations, but this being across the street from an AISD elementary and also on a road that really is looking to sort of be transformed in a really important way as part of our ASMP is really problematic to me. So I'm very appreciative of the neighbors really raising these concerns, and also for the applicant being willing to sort of reconsider. And I do hope that this does not move forward with a drive-through, because it just feels like it's really an inappropriate spot. And more generally speaking, that we consider broadly across the city what we do with drive-throughs and where they are appropriate as we try to become a more transit-oriented, mixed-use, walkable city. Drive-throughs are a real issue. They do cause extreme problems in terms of traffic backups, the congestion, the sort of a pollution and noise concerns. And we, again, understand that in certain commercial situations, of course, they're appropriate, but certainly not in a situation like this. So I just want to share my appreciation, again, to the members of District 5, as well as the applicant, to sort of resolving this issue. Thank you.
thank you. Vice Chair?
Thank you, Chair. I just want to...
Yes, Commissioner Haynes.
Madam Chair, on item 15, I completely agree with the wise words from Commissioner Maxwell, except I would look at it from the flip side of that and say, if we got a 2-week delay, would they bring it back with the drive-through next, and we would have definitive agreement on that?
So my understanding is what staff is recommending, the LRNP, the drive-through is a conditional use, so it's not by right. They would have to come back through this body to have that approved. So essentially, it's not a part of the zoning.
But what do we do when Commissioner Maxwell has gone on to bigger and better and more prominent things?
Madam Chair, may I propose a
wise-
solution?
Her
Yes,
wise
Commissioner
voice isn't
Mooshthaler.
here.
Yeah, this was the item I wanted to address as well. I would propose that we modify the item and place the conditional overlay on it to prohibit the drive-through use at that, and it can stay on consent, but we add that onto it for the consent, so a substitute.
Okay, yes, so unless there's an objection to that? Okay, we can,
I appreciate our fellow commissioners. I think that that's probably a wise recommendation, given the discussion we've had tonight.
okay, so we'll, let's make this formal. So that's a recommendation by Commissioner Mooshthaler, seconded by Commissioner Maxwell, to add a CEO that prohibits drive-throughs on this site. Unless there's objection, that motion passes.
Well, the motion is, since Chair, we'll just make the motion and the consent if that's okay. So, but I think it seems like we don't have any objection on that. at
Correct.
the moment.
Yeah.
Chair, can I make a motion?
Yes.
I'll make a motion that we approve our consent agenda with the items as listed. And for item number 15 to be noted with the change that the chair just mentioned with the prohibition, a conditional overlay that prohibits essentially drive-through businesses. And then on item number 26 with the Sunfield PUD, approving it with the recommendations of the Environmental Commission.
And the minutes.
Agree.
Yes. All those in favor? Oh, second by Commissioner Woods. All those in favor? Opposed? Okay, thank you. That's unanimous. All right. Thank you, everyone.